Hi, Dr. Manoj. Hi, Prof. Albert. My name is Sonia, and I am representing Group 2, accompanied by Lynn, Martins, Jawad, and Grace, presenting the Human Resource Strategy and Statistics assignment. The table of contents consists of what are the things that we are going to be covering in this research. This research has been conducted to get an in-depth understanding on the impact of the changes that Vodacom has implemented in response to COVID-19 pandemic and how has that impacted on job embeddedness and its effect on voluntary turnover. We will be using quantitative data to do the research, where we will be checking if there is association on how well Vodacom managed its response to COVID-19 and how frequently workers considered quitting their jobs. Secondly, we will be looking if there is a difference between the males and females on how they responded to how well Vodacom managed its COVID-19 responses. And also using the very same data set, we will also check if there is a difference between males and female on how frequently they are thinking of quitting their jobs. Then we will produce the recommendations followed by the conclusion. In 2020, many organizations were impacted by the global pandemic, COVID-19. Vodacom was also impacted, and this had a direct effect where they had to send all the employees to start working from home, something that was totally new. The impact of these policy changes had a direct impact on the consequences on how employee retention and turnover took place in the workplace. That had a direct relation on how job embeddedness was also impacted. Job embeddedness have two main pillars, mainly on the job effect and of the job effect. And there are three dimensions that are also associated with job embeddedness. That's link, fit, and sacrifice. COVID-19 had a major effect on turnover. And that is through what Morelli talked about, the turnover shock, where normally for turnover shock to happen, a certain event has to happen in life that will cause someone to really be driven by these shocks. COVID-19 was one of those shocks. Jobs embeddedness represent a set of influences that keeps an employee in the job. Job embeddedness and intention to quit. Many researchers do align and do agree that the intention to quit has proven to be the strongest predictor of actual turnover. The stronger the job embeddedness, the less likely the employees are to quit their organization. The research methodology to be used is quantitative research methodology because it produces clear objective data that can be clearly communicated through statistics and numbers. Data collected is Likert type scales, and surveys were done through Microsoft Forms. Data collected there came in ordinal data, and that has been quantified into numerical data to allow for statistical analysis and so that the results can also be analyzed. The research question that we will be answering is how has Vodacom's response to COVID-19 pandemic impacted both males and females with regards to voluntary turnover? We have identified three hypotheses that we would like to research on. First one is that, is there a correlation between how well Vodacom managed its response to COVID-19 and how frequently workers considered quitting their job? Secondly, is there a significant difference on how males and females are impacted by how well Vodacom managed its COVID-19 response? Finally, based on how well Vodacom managed its response to COVID-19, is there a difference between how males and females are impacted in terms on how they think of quitting their jobs? For the purpose of this research, we will be using two statistical tests: Spearman test to test for correlation and t-test to test for differences. Spearman test assumes that the data must at least be ordinal. T-test, you're going to be using two independent groups. Hypothesis 1. Is there correlation on how well Vodacom managed its response to COVID-19 and how frequently workers think of quitting their jobs? Spearman tests will be conducted to test for correlation between the two datasets using ordinal dataset. Correlation coefficient has been calculated and R equals to 0.11. This indicates that there is a positive but weak correlation on how well Vodacom managed its response to COVID-19 and how frequently workers think of quitting their jobs. P-value is greater than 0.05 shows that the correlation is not significant. In conclusion, this means that Vodacom COVID-19 interventions will not significantly impact on voluntary turnover negatively. Hypothesis 2. Is there significant difference on how males and females are impacted by how well Vodacom managed its COVID-19 response? T-test was conducted using two different data sets or two different groups, independent groups, and this test was done independently because it's done at a point in time, and this test won't be repeated again. F-test was done before, then T-test was done on Excel. P-value shows that there is no significant difference on how males and females are impacted by how well Vodacom managed its COVID-19 responses. However, looking at the means, we can see that males are more impacted than females. Therefore, in conclusion, we can say that Vodacom's COVID-19 interventions does not significantly impact males and females differently. Therefore, it can have the same HR strategy for both males and females. Hypothesis 3. Is there significant difference on how males and females are impacted by how they think of quitting their job? T-test is done again looking at the two different groups being males and females. F-test was done. P-value shows that there is no significant difference on how males and females are impacted by how they think of quitting their job. But the means are saying something else where males are more impacted than females. In conclusion, we can say that Vodacom's COVID-19 interventions has no significant impact based on gender with regards to how females and males think of quitting their jobs. The recommendations stated here are based and are applicable to both males and females, since we have shown that there is no difference between males and females on how they are impacted by COVID-19. We have come up with the organizational diagnosis based on Ulrich's architecture. We'll look at competency pillar, consequence pillar, governance pillar, work progress pillar. Looking at things around change, recruitment, digital skills, the leadership skills are going to be required, the types of groups that needs to work in future, the policies that needs to be changed, the goal setting that needs to happen, the balanced psychological contract to ensure trust, job satisfaction is going to be quite key. In conclusion, as noted above, it is evident from the results that there is no correlation between Vodacom's response to COVID-19 and employees considering to quit their jobs. There is no need to implement gender-specific initiatives. Vodacom can continue with its current hybrid working from home model, and they should review their policies regularly.